for this ambiguous time of the day. Let me first begin my talk by saying as to what I am not, because I think it's important to clear that difference. He's already introduced me, but then it's important for me to tell you as to what I am not. So honestly, with all due respect to our captain, I am not a motivational speaker. I'm not a life coach. I'm not a guide, mentor, anything else that, or lifestyle designer these days, or anything else that all the trendy names that you find on the self-help section in a bookstore. I'm none of that. As he's introduced me, I'm an advocate who works in the legal domain. I'm a teacher, and I have had some experience in life, which is what I'm going to talk about today. So let me be very honest and tell you what I'm going to speak about today is a little difficult for me. But then it took me some time to come to this decision to agree to speak about this. There are a number of reasons, but the most important reason, the primary reason, which was the driving force of this decision to talk about it, was the fact that nobody talks about it. To me, it was reason enough that, since nobody talks about it, somebody should talk about it. And I decided, let me be that person. Because when I found myself in the situation that I found myself in, I couldn't find any literature that would help me out. I decided to be that person. So now I'm going to be talking about 3 instances of my life which people don't speak about, but frankly they're quite common, and it's weird that people don't speak about it. The first thing that happened was 2 years back when I had a miscarriage. So that was a time when honestly I didn't feel anything. I felt numb. I didn't feel anything. I thought, it's okay, bunch of cells died, all right. So it took me 6 months to cry about it. It was 6 months later, the first time that I cried about it. I was like, I'm crying after 6 months. Am I stupid? I mean, am I slow? Or what is the reason why I'm crying after 6 months? But then, if I remove myself from the situation, it's funny. But when I wasn't there, it wasn't funny. So I was crying about it after 6 months. And then I was looking for literature online. And there was one statistic which I found, which apparently is true, that 1/3 of all pregnancies result in miscarriage. I was like, oh God, this is too common. If it's 1/3 of the pregnancies resulting in miscarriages, why aren't people talking about it? That was the first time when I spoke with my aunt. And I just let it slip that, this has happened. Apparently nobody in the family knew. I mean, barely anybody, whoever was close knew. And she confessed that it happened with her too. There was a cousin of mine who told me it happened with her too. And then I realized, okay, this is fairly common. This is probably normal for reasons known or unknown. But nevertheless, nobody speaks about it. I couldn't find any literature. Modern literature, yes, there were some accounts of people in the West, talking about their experiences. But in India, there's nothing. And I thought that, cultural conditioning does play a major role in how you feel and perceive about things around you. So it was important that I found someone in India like me who's probably experienced it, but no. So this was the driving force why I decided to first talk about it. And after I realized that it is fairly common, all the more a reason to speak about it. So I took a decision to write about this experience. And I wrote the post. Then I was battling whether I should post it anonymously or, I should give it my name. I decided I'll give it my name. And, writing about it is one and speaking about it is quite another, obviously, because speaking is far more active than writing. And in writing, you are behind your own computer, you shut it, you go and sleep. You don't have to bother about anything else. So first, I took the decision to write about it. I wrote about it and it went viral. So a lot of people connected with me after that. There are a number of more than 50 comments on the post. A lot of people told me, sympathized with me. They told me, we are with you in spirit and all those things, which was nice. And then there were some really interesting people who gave me a lot of unsolicited advice. Like, for example, I should be eating more bananas, or I should be trying feng shui in my house, or I should change the vastu of my house because that would make me pregnant, apparently. Whatever. Point being, there were lots of things like that which were thrown at me, and I realized that people who found themselves in a situation like mine would probably even take this seriously, and that it leads to a lot of superstitions. It's funny that a lot of other people have a lot to speak about this, but the woman herself. Right? So I wanted someone who had gone through that to tell me what it was like, and whatever I was feeling was normal. That's all that I wanted, but I couldn't find it. So to tell everyone and put it on record so that if someone else finds themselves in the situation that I found myself in, you should know that it sucks, yes, first. Second, you feel inadequate, you feel sad, you feel depressed, you feel lonely, your relationships suffer. There are a number of things, and of course, depending upon the individual woman, the reaction can be different. So these are the things that happen. The one thing which I found when I spoke with a lot of people was the feeling of being inadequate, which was fairly common for everyone to feel that. So this was what happened. This was what prompted me to write about it, and these are the kind of comments that I received, and I decided that come an opportunity in life, I will never shy away from speaking about this because I want people to be okay with it. It's normal. It happens. That's it. So this was the first thing that happened. Now I'm going to be telling you 3 instances, but I mean, you shouldn't feel that my life is stupid or I'm crazy or something. I got myself tested. Okay, paraphrasing Sheldon there. I got myself tested. I'm not crazy. But when I pick and choose these instances, it may feel like that's all that's happening. That's not true. There are lots of other nice things happening. So, but then there are these things which no one speaks about. So I found myself in another situation where, I don't know, apparently the internet tells me a lot of people find themselves in this situation. So it's weird when I, Googled it, I found more statistics related to it. So let me not quote that here. But 8 days continuously, I had not slept. I was online and I was Googling ways of committing suicide. Okay? So internet told me a lot of people did it. I was like, okay, it's normal again. Then I was rationalizing. I was saying, that what's wrong? There are people who die in an accident. I mean, I'd be in charge. I'll take control of my life. I'll decide when I go. So that was the kind of rationalization that was happening, and that happens when you're, ideating. So that's what was going on. There was one thing which was, kind of bothering me, and that botheration was I was not happy with my life. Everything else was not working out. This was probably the reason why I was thinking the way that I was thinking. So that was one reason why I decided, okay, probably what I'm thinking is not the right thing to think. Interestingly though, I don't know if you've Googled it, but I have, so I can tell you that a lot of these websites, which, give you easier ways to commit suicide, also tell you easier ways to commit murder. I mean, I don't know why. It's interesting. It's like, I mean, if you want to click on the next page, most often, the next page is, how do you get away with a murder? It's like, you don't want to kill yourself, maybe you can do it with someone else. But I'm a lawyer, so I already know how you do that. So it was of no use to me. So then I was going through all these things, and I decided that high time I need professional help. This brings me to the third thing which nobody speaks about in India. I mean, it really, I find it really amusing that people would line up in front of religious nuts. I mean, I'm sorry, but and people who are going to be telling you that, you should wear the red shoes or you should probably eat pani puri or whatever, to come out of your problems, but they won't approach a professional therapist. So that was another thing which I did, and I found someone online, which probably isn't a very good thing to do, but anyway, I did it. So I met with him, and lucky me, he's one of the best persons that I have met, and he helped me out in a lot of, so we went through CBT, REBT, all the rituals, and, tell me about your childhood and everything. So whatever happens in a therapist clinic, all of those things happened. But then the other thing which I noticed, when I was going there, and I used to have a weekly visit, was a lot of people would tie scarves around their heads, come in cars with tinted windows, and basically in every manner hide the fact that they're visiting a therapist who is probably a very interesting person. I mean, I would visit him just anyway without any issue. So that's what was going on. I was also very fortunate to interact with him and his other patients through the music concerts that he used to arrange. So he's also a musician, and I got the opportunity, and the drill was normal, I would interact with people. I didn't know why they were connected with the same person. We were all connected to the same person. So you could guess, but then I didn't know what was going on in their lives, and I was not interested either. But then, someone or the other would pull me, and, they'd be like, why are you here? So the point of the matter is that nobody wants to talk about going to the therapist. Like, you have your own lawyer, you have your chartered accountant, you have a family doctor, you should have a therapist. It's as simple as that, right? And if you find yourself, it's not necessarily, I was diagnosed, he diagnosed me with clinical depression. So I had a medical condition which probably needed help, but it's not necessarily something that you want to take a decision in life, you could talk to him. He's a third person who can give you a third perspective. You do it with people anyway. You go to your dad, you go to your friend. It's just as simple as that. So it shouldn't be something which should be a taboo. That was the third thing which I realized. Interestingly, I wrote about that as well, and I got a lot of responses from people asking me his phone number. So, so a lot of people did that, and I was happy because instead of, as in the first case, they were telling me about feng shui and vastu. In this case, actually people were happy that someone is talking about it and, making use of it. So that was the point when I decided that I would make a project of my life. Now that all of this is out in the open, I'll make a project of my life. So I wrote blog post titled Project Tejasvita, which became quite popular, and I received a lot of very nice messages which told me that it gave them strength, it gave them courage, or they found it helpful, whatever it may be. The reason why I decided in the first place to talk about all these things, I felt was, when I received these messages, I felt it was mission accomplished. Because even if one soul breathes easier because of what I've written or what I've said or what I've gone through, and as an example, if they find it easier to deal with whatever it is that they are dealing with, it's mission accomplished. I'm happy. So for all the hate comments that I got, because you get that online all the time, so for all of those I got a lot of others which were really very nice. So I was thankful that, since I decided to speak about it, it helped a lot of people. So that was the one thing which acted as a really important guiding force in my life, that I would speak about things which people don't speak about as long as they're ethical, as long as they're good for others. So I have my own moral compass deciding what will I speak about, what will I not, and I'll choose the platform and the audience and everything. But I would want everyone else to do the same, because only when, you don't really need to have things like you should change your feng shui or you should, change the vastu of your house to have a baby. That shouldn't be in the mainstream, really. So I want the mainstream to change when I say that, women who've gone through something like this should speak about it. Somebody who has, dealt with it should speak about it. The point of the matter is that the mainstream in all of these situations which are considered a taboo should change. So authentic information, good information that helps people should be shared rather than all this. As long as the things are taboo, all these superstitions will propagate. So that is the main thing that we need to take into consideration. So that was one decision which I took, and I'm really happy about it. That was the whole point of this conversation. And I would just like to complete by, saying that speak that which isn't spoken and wake that up which isn't woken. So it's important to remember that, the core of suffering lies in fearful silence, and we shouldn't be doing that. Thank you so much.